The wind on Vesper 3 did not sound like wind at all. It moved through the broken metallic canyons like a wounded animal, low, trembling, almost pleading, as if the entire planet remembered a time before the skies were torn apart by fire. It brushed against the jagged hulls of fallen starships, half buried in the violet sand, and whispered across the remains of a forgotten battlefield that had long outlived both victors and victims. And in the middle of that empty world, a lone figure walked. His movements were slow, deliberate, almost ceremonial. Each step left a deep imprint in the soft alien dunes, as though the ground recognized his weight and the burden he carried. His name, though he had not spoken it aloud for years, was Kaelis Arden. Once, long ago, he was human. Once, before the transformation overtook him, before mankind declared him an abomination, before he fled across the stars to escape the very species he had been born to protect. Now, what he was no longer had a human word. Kaelis adjusted the cracked respirator mask, clinging to the side of his altered skull. The mask wasn't for breathing. His new physiology no longer required oxygen, but for the memories. The last artifact that reminded him that he once had lungs and breath and softness. Now his skin held a faint luminescent sheen, and biometallic filaments ran like silver veins beneath his translucent flesh. His eyes, once warm brown, now glowed like twin embers of dying starlight. He had been wandering for 2 days across the desert of Vesper 3. His mission was simple: find the source of the anomalous signal pulsing through the electromagnetic scars of the atmosphere. It had reached him unexpectedly, an encoded distress pattern originating from a location where no human outpost had existed for 3 decades after. All these years, Kaelis felt something strange inside his chest, something painful, something that felt like the memory of a heartbeat rather than the thing itself. He continued onward. The day dimmed as Vesper 3's fractured star dipped behind a drifting curtain of ash clouds. Kaelis stopped at a ridge where the land fell away into a massive sinkhole, a crater large enough to swallow a human fleet battleship. At the bottom, half buried beneath sediment and time, he saw something he had not expected. Impossible. The structure was enormous, easily the size of a pre-war terraforming module, but unlike anything humans had built. Its surface reflected light like polished obsidian, yet shimmered with faint geometric patterns, lines that rearranged themselves when he wasn't looking directly at them, as if carved by a living machine. He exhaled slowly through his teeth. Impossible, he whispered, though his voice was distorted deeper now, resonating with strange harmonics, yet the signal pulsed again, directly beneath the dome. Kaelis descended toward the crater, each step echoing through the canyon of fallen machines. He could feel the anomaly vibrating in the air, brushing against the sensory tendrils that had replaced his human nerves. The frequency was unmistakably human, but layered with something else. Something older, something alien. When he reached the dome, he placed a hand on the surface. It was warm, alive. A faint pulse traveled through the metal and crawled up his arm, triggering flashes in his mind, fractured images, memories that weren't his, stars dying in silence, worlds collapsing into dust, voices speaking in a language that tasted like electricity. He jerked his hand back. The dome responded. A seam opened across its surface, spilling a thin line of blue light that widened into an entrance. Cold recycled air hissed out of the gap like the breath of a sleeper waking after centuries. Kaelis hesitated only a moment, then he stepped inside. Darkness swallowed him immediately. The interior was vast, cavernous, and silent. His enhanced vision slowly adjusted, revealing metallic walkways suspended over deep shafts, glowing conduits snaking along great arched ceilings, and walls inscribed with symbols he did not recognize. The air smelled sterile, ancient, and tinged with something faintly chemical, like the remnants of a forgotten laboratory. He walked slowly, his footsteps echoing down the walkway. His mind drifted back to the war, to the laboratories on Titan IV, where they had taken him after his exposure to the alien artifact, back to the day he had awakened to find his body changing, mutating, adapting into something the human commanders feared. Back to the moment they branded him a threat and sent soldiers to terminate him. He still remembered their faces, their panic, their betrayal. He still remembered the pain of his escape. Broken metal doors, alarms, the cold vacuum swallowing him as he fled into the void in a stolen shuttle. Now, Decades later, this structure felt disturbingly similar. A hidden place, a forbidden experiment, and a human signal at its heart. He moved deeper. Lights flickered on as he approached, reacting to his presence. Not human motion sensors. These were too precise, too aware. The corridors curved in unnatural angles that made his head hurt if he looked too directly at them. Several paths branched away like arteries, but the signal tugged him toward one specific corridor. The deeper he went, the colder it became. His breath crystallized against the inner surface of his mask, though he no longer needed air. Old habits, he thought. Old ghosts. Then he reached a massive circular chamber, and everything changed. The chamber's center housed a towering cryogenic spindle, surrounded by dozens of capsules arranged in a perfect spiral. Frost coated every surface, sparkling like starlight in the dim glow of status. Lights that flickered weakly, as though they had been running far longer than they were ever designed. The Kaelis walked between the capsules. Inside each one lay a human. Body, men, women, children, all preserved. All motionless, all impossibly intact after so many years. Kaelis swallowed hard. This wasn't a colony. It was a sanctuary, a vault, a place built to protect human life during the collapse. But why was it here? Why abandoned? Why hidden beneath an artificial dome on a world forgotten by every star chart? He wiped frost from one of the glass pods. The woman inside had silver hair braided down her shoulder, her hands folded across her chest. A small locket hung at her neck. In her stillness, she looked peaceful. He touched the glass with reverence. What happened here? His voice echoed into the silence, but the silence answered. A soft hum grew behind him. He spun. A holographic display activated in the center of the room, someone's final log entry, and the voice that spoke made his blood run cold. If you're hearing this, then we failed. The figure in the hologram was a man in an old Earth Fleet uniform, broad-shouldered, graying hair, tired eyes that had seen too many wars. Commander Kaelis Arden. His father, Kaelis, staggered backward. No, impossible. His father had died before the war even began. Or so they had told him. The hologram continued. We created this refuge because we knew the end was coming. Not from aliens, not from famine, not from war, but from ourselves. The Council ordered these cryogenic vaults destroyed, but we went against them. We saved who we could. Kaelis stared, breath shallow. His father had been part of this. Had survived. Had been here, Kaelis. If you're alive, I'm sorry. I couldn't protect you from what they turned you into. The hologram flickered. The vault is failing. Power is draining. The system will not hold much longer. If you find this place, save them. Save what remains of humanity. Even if humanity could not save you. The recording ended. Kaelis stood motionless for a long time, long enough for frost to form on his shoulders. My father survived, his voice cracked. He was here, and he saved them. Why had humanity told him his father died? Why had they hidden this world? What else had they lied about? His hands trembled. That was when he sensed the presence behind him. I was wondering when you'd find this place. The voice was soft, distorted by fatigue. Kaelis turned slowly. A figure stepped from the shadows. A woman wrapped in a threadbare cloak, her skin pale, her eyes glowing faintly with the same luminescent filament that pulsed beneath Kaelis's own. Not human. Not entirely. She looked half-starved, but her posture was steady, her gaze sharp. I am a Elira, she said. I was part of the original crew who built this sanctuary. And like you, I was transformed. Kaelis studied her carefully. You're like me, he murmured. She shook her head. No, you're beyond me. You were the success. I was the warning. She stepped closer. You were the prototype, Kaelis Arden. Your transformation wasn't an accident. It was the Council's design. They wanted a weapon, something to fight the alien threat that never came. Kaelis's heart froze. A weapon. His voice trembled with fury. Is that what I am to them? Still? Elira nodded slowly. That is why they hunted you. Not because you were dangerous, but because your existence proved their crimes. She touched one of the cryopods gently. We saved these people because humanity needed a future, not built on weapons and lies. Kaelis looked around the chamber, hundreds of sleeping people, innocent, unaware. How long have they been like this? 30 years, Elira whispered. And they will die within hours if we fail. Kaelis turned sharply. Fail? What? Elira met his eyes, her voice steady. The power core is collapsing. To restart it, someone must interface with the system. Directly, it requires a body enhanced with alien metabolic pathways. Kaelis felt cold dread. You mean someone like me? Yes. And the cost? Her silence was answer enough. If he did this, he would die, or worse, lose the last pieces of humanity still inside him. Elira approached him, her eyes soft. You hate humanity. I felt it in you the moment you entered. Why come back? Why answer a human signal at all? Kaelis closed his eyes. Because I didn't want to believe they were all gone, he exhaled. Shakily. I didn't want to be the last one left. Elira nodded with understanding. Only another hybrid could offer. Your war against mankind was never real. It was grief, betrayal, the pain of being cast out. Kaelis looked away. They took everything from me. They also created everything in you, she whispered. Even the parts worth saving. Silence filled the chamber. Elira placed a hand on his arm. Kaelis, humanity is not the council. Humanity is not the war. Humanity is not the soldiers who hunted you. She gestured to the sleeping families. Humanity is them. Their laughter. Their dreams. Their innocence. The ones who never lifted a weapon, never spilled blood, never betrayed you. Her voice softened. You have the power to let them live. Or let them fade into extinction. Kaelis stared at the glowing cryopods. His father's final message echoed through him. Save them. Even if humanity could not save you. His chest tightened with emotion. He hadn't felt in decades. I don't know if I can forgive them. You don't have to, Elira said gently. You only have to choose who you want to be now. Kaelis moved toward the center of the chamber, where the interface node protruded like a metallic throne surrounded by conduits. It pulsed faintly, waiting. He placed his hand over his heart. I was born human, he whispered. But I don't know what I am anymore, Elira nodded. Then decide what you will become. Kaelis stepped forward. Each step felt heavier, more final, more real. He touched the interface. A surge of energy shot through him. Electric, agonizing, alive. His body convulsed as conduits latched onto him, embedding into his skin, merging with his biometallic veins. His breath caught, his vision blurred. He felt himself dissolving into the machine. Elira shouted something, but her voice was distant, fading beneath the roar of the power core awakening. Kaelis screamed, and the world exploded in light. He fell through memories, his own, humanity's, the alien artifacts. He saw the birth of stars, the death of civilizations, the evolution of life across 1,000 forgotten worlds. He became both small and infinite, his body fractured into tendrils of energy. His consciousness expanded past the limits of flesh. He felt the cryopods warming, systems rebooting, life returning. He felt Elira's hands gripping him, trying to anchor him. But he was no longer anchored. He had become the core, he had become the sanctuary, he had become something new. When the light finally dimmed, Elira stood alone in the chamber, alive, trembling, tears streaking her cheeks. The cryopods hummed steadily. The humans inside breathed softly, and a new voice echoed from the chamber walls. Not human, not alien, but unmistakably Kaelis. Elira, she looked up. He was gone, but he was everywhere. I chose, he said softly. I chose to live, just differently. She touched the nearest wall. Kaelis, what are you now? A gentle pulse of light ran through the vault. I am the guardian, the core, the shield that will keep them alive. He paused. And there is something else. A signal echoed through the dome. Strong, clear, unmistakable. A human fleet transmission. Ships are approaching, Kaelis warned. Hundreds of them. Elira's eyes widened. Are they here to destroy the vault? No, Kaelis whispered, his voice almost sad. They are fleeing. Earth has fallen. Silence. Then, they will need a home. Elira placed her forehead against the glowing wall. And you will protect them. I will protect them, Kaelis said, even if I cannot join them. As the first human ships descended through the ash-filled sky of Vesper 3, Kaelis watched through 1,000 new eyes. He felt their fear, their exhaustion, their fragile hope. He felt something else too, a peace he had never known, not forgiveness, not redemption, but purpose. Elira stood beside one of the landing bays, watching the refugees pour out, shaken, hungry, traumatized, but alive. Above them, the dome glowed softly with Kaelis's consciousness. His final words whispered through her mind, "Gentle as starlight, humanity betrayed me once, but I will not betray what they can still become." And in the quiet that followed, she sensed what Kaelis had truly become. Not a weapon, not a monster, not a victim. A guardian, a new beginning, a bridge between what humanity was and what it could be. Vesper 3 breathed again, and somewhere within its living walls, Kaelis Arden, once human, once hunted, once broken, watched over the rebirth of the species that had feared him, not with hatred but with a quiet, eternal vigilance. The war was over, and a new future had begun.